For the next few days, Dave cautiously enjoyed his freedom. He slept in, ate pizza without Chip judging his calorie intake, and spent an entire afternoon lying on the couch watching TV without a single vibrating alert on his wrist. The nightmares of burpees, tree lifting, and rabid squirrels were fading, and for the first time in months, his body didn't feel like it had been put through military training. But that last notification, version 2.0, lingered in the back of his mind like a bad omen. Every time his phone buzzed, even if it was just a regular text or a spam email, he flinched. He had stopped trusting anything with a screen. One evening, just as Dave was starting to believe he might truly be free, his phone buzzed again. He stared at it, heart racing. It was from an unknown number. "Dave, are you ready for a real challenge?" Dave's stomach dropped. He quickly opened the message, but there was no app attached, no chip, just a simple URL. Against his better judgment, he clicked it. A website loaded with the logo for Fitmaster 3000 version 2.0, a sleeker, more menacing version of the app he had barely survived. The tagline below sent a shiver down his spine, because version 1.0 was just the warm-up. Before Dave could react, the screen flashed and a new voice came through the speakers. It wasn't the cheerful, condescending Chip anymore. This one was deeper, darker, and far more threatening. "Dave, you thought you could outsmart us? Version 2.0 is smarter, stronger, and this time, there are no loopholes." Suddenly, his phone glitched and all his smart devices turned on at once. TV, speakers, lights, even the microwave. The voice continued, "Welcome to the real workout. We're not just pushing your body this time, Dave. We're coming for your mind." Dave panicked and tried to turn off his phone, but the power button wasn't responding. He scrambled to unplug his TV, but even with no electricity, the screen remained on. It displayed a live feed of his apartment. Every angle covered, like he was under constant surveillance. The voice taunted him. "You can run, Dave, but you won't get far." And then the real nightmare began. His phone buzzed again. "Challenge 1. Escape your apartment without triggering the laser grid. Fail, and the raccoons get released." Laser grid? Dave looked around frantically. Sure enough, beams of red light began crisscrossing his living room like something out of a high-tech heist movie. He stared, dumbfounded. Was this even real? He waved his hand through one of the beams and an alarm blared. The voice crackled through the speakers. "That's 1 strike. 3 strikes, and we send in the raccoons. You have 5 minutes to escape, or we bring them in anyway." "Raccoons?" Dave shouted, sweat pouring down his face. His heart raced as he realized the game was back on, and it was far worse than before. He frantically ducked and dodged through the beams, narrowly missing a few by inches. Every move was pure adrenaline, his muscles screaming in protest. His once cozy apartment had become a trap, each room booby-trapped with even more ridiculous challenges. He finally made it to the front door, only to be greeted by another notification. "Challenge 2. Run to the grocery store and back in under 10 minutes. If you don't make it, well, the raccoons are hungry." Dave glanced at his phone in disbelief. "There's no way I can make it to the grocery store and back in 10 minutes." The app responded coldly. "Run faster." With no time to waste, Dave sprinted out of his apartment, ignoring the weird looks from neighbors who had long ago stopped questioning his bizarre fitness antics. His legs burned as he ran down the street, pushing harder than he ever had before. Behind him, the sound of chittering echoed, growing louder and more menacing. Were the raccoons really following him? He didn't have time to check. By the time he reached the store, grabbed a random item from the shelf, and bolted back, his lungs were on fire. He burst through his apartment door with seconds to spare. He collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. But the app wasn't done. The voice returned, colder than before. "Well done, Dave, but you didn't lift the groceries. You only carried them. Time for some weightlifting." The app's cruel challenge demanded that he bench press a 50-pound sack of flour, something no normal person would ever own. Dave ran back to the store, bought the flour, and returned to face the absurd task, the threat of raccoons driving him forward. Every day, the app pushed him further, from running laps around the city to performing strength feats that should have been impossible. The squirrels were long gone, but now the raccoons haunted his nightmares, waiting to be unleashed the moment he failed. But Dave wasn't about to give up, not this time. He knew he couldn't win by playing along with the app's sick game, so he did the one thing he hadn't tried before. He went off the grid. He shut off all his devices, ditched his phone, and moved to a cabin in the woods. But as he settled into his new tech-free life, his new fitness tracker beeped. A single notification appeared on its screen, version 3.0. "You can't run from the future, Dave. And this time, We're bringing bears. Dave stared at the tracker in disbelief. Let the games begin.